Hey, what's going on, man? It's Dennis Haley. I am the author of the playbook, The Art of Dreaming. Um, just want to say a special thank you to Kelly Cole and the Publishing Advantage Group team. Man, they were with me from day one until the time I finished, and still with me to this day. What a blessing to have them be with me and to walk me through this journey and to be a part of this journey. They have been nothing but class acts and they know what they're talking about. And just again, it is a blessing to be a part of this team and for them to guide me down the path to success. So thank you for everything that you have done. I look forward to many more projects with you guys and continue to be a blessing to many. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? It's the publisher here, Mr. Kelly Cole. Welcome to another episode of the Author's Corner. Today, I got a special guest in the building, Coach Danielle, with the book, The Six-Figure Quitter. How you doing?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Good. All right, before we get into the book, tell the people a little bit about yourself, like your background and things like that.
Sure. So, professionally, I am a former Govey. I spent 12 years working at the FBI in a number of capacities before deciding to bet on me and God and take the leap, not once, but twice. But the second time it stuck into the world of full-time entrepreneurship. And so, on this side of my career, I have made it my business, pun intended, to support employed entrepreneurs with transitioning out of their 9 to 5 without regret, just like I did. And so there's kind of like two tentacles into the work that I do. So it's that's more consumer facing, but then I also support organizations with developing their leaders as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you said you had two bouts with that. Tell us about that. The first time you quit and what made you go back.
Yeah, so the first time I had found myself in a position where I was leading a team and running I was project manager for a major IT re-engineering project, right? And I kept hitting this wall, like when it came to running the project, managing the project, and not being on the same page with like my leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the kind of person that I believe in self-assessing because sometimes it can be me, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think I probably rode the wave longer than I really needed to, but it's because I cared. But then one day, after coming back from an amazing vacation out in St. John, the Virgin Islands, and just really having an opportunity to get away and reset. And I came back and I was still up against the same kind of like nonsense, but this time I had a clear head, right? And so I was just like, you know what, the math ain't math, and these people need me more than I need them at this juncture, just
Mm-hmm.
based on where I was financially and in life, right? I had options. I just wasn't exercising because I was so loyal to the job. And
Yeah.
most of all, it was being loyal to my team, who I absolutely loved. Um, but sitting in that, I'm just like, this just doesn't make sense. And I don't have to deal with this. And so I decided so for the first time to bet on me and God and take my talents elsewhere. And interestingly enough, at that point in time, I told like my thing was I was going to go back to school and get a PhD in psychology. I don't have to wait until my next life to do it. Why not do it now, right?
Right.
So I go through the motions and I submit my notice. My 2 week countdown is on, and I start asking questions just to make sure I have my ducks in a row as I'm preparing to separate from the federal government. And the right people found out that I was leaving, that I was seriously leaving, and they took issue with it. And they're like, well, why? Like, we can't afford to lose you. Um, and they started having conversations in rooms and at tables that I didn't even know was happening. And I ended up being recruited back, um, interestingly enough, to go and support diversity and inclusion, which in today's time, current events,
Mhm.
that's a buzzword and
Yeah.
also a trigger word for some people. So that part is really special to me because I know what that meant for me in my career.
Yeah.
But I got recruited back. There were some amazing leaders in the organization that recognized my talent and recognized my contributions and said, "Look, like you might be done with the FBI, but the FBI is not done with you." And so
Mm.
that's how I ended up not fully off boarding. I just took a month vacation and then got back to it.
I get it. But one thing, when I quit my job, so I used to work two jobs. I used to work at Walmart during the day and Blockbuster at night. Blockbuster ended, of course, because it just closed. But
Yeah.
one thing that kept me fueled to stay on this 17-year journey of never going back, when the manager walked me to the time clock, he looked me in the eye, he says, "You'll be like all of the rest of them, you'll be back." And that was all the fuel I needed. And guess who's still there? He's still there. That
Wow.
was number one. Number two, there was this young kid who was going to college, and he was like, "Guess what, Kelly? In 1 year, I'll have my degree, and I'll be working for a big corporation, and you'll be still here at Walmart." Guess who's still there at Walmart? He is.
Wow.
Working in the same department, can't look me in my face when I come in there to shop. So yeah, so those two things I vowed I will never go. I said I'll sell oranges by the freeway before I give y'all the satisfaction of me coming back. So, so tell us about your second transition. So you went back. How long did you stay before you finally made your exit?
So being recruited back bought the Bureau 5 more years of my time
Okay.
and my talent. So 5 years later, I started to feel the squeeze again. But there were a couple of things that were like playing into my discomfort. So between the first attempt to leap and the second one, I decided to move a little bit further away. I was working in the city in DC, and I decided to move a little bit further south to Richmond, Virginia, which for those that don't have context, it's about an hour and a half away one way with no traffic. In
Yeah.
rush hour traffic, 2.5, give or
Days.
take how traffic is feeling on a given day, right? And so I decided that, at that point in my life, it's just me. I have a whole lot of freedom and independence. I could do it, right? I could take my DC salary down south, put down some roots. And that's exactly what I did. I moved, I bought a house. And so I was doing the commute. And yes, the commute was crazy. It was hectic. But I found a way to do it where all of the burden of the commute wasn't on me. And so I was
Mm,
taking a van pool. So it's shared ridership and drivership, right? So it's still not the most convenient, not a sexy commute at all, but it's
yeah.
doable. And at some point in time, you kind of get used to it, right? But then I found myself like, you know what? I am not able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. All
Mm,
I do is commute and work and try to get some sleep and get up to do it again the next day. And by the time Saturday comes, I'm so zapped from the week, I don't want to do anything.
yeah.
Like, I'm too young for this to be my life. Like, I'm a PYT. I don't know. Like, if I think I am now, I thought I was several
Come on.
years ago, right?
Right.
So I said, like, something has got to give. And so I started trying to figure out, well, how can I get rid of my commute? I have a master's in IT. There's a lot of tech jobs here in the Richmond area. And I hadn't worked in the tech space for some time. And so I said, well, I'll try to put some feelers out and see what opportunities are available to me. That was kind of like coming up dead. And I said, well, let me see what I can do to just get tech back at the top of my resume so that I can be marketable in my home market.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I ended up putting in for a tech related position still with the Bureau. And that job still ended up being at headquarters in DC. So I didn't get rid of the commute, but I checked the box, getting back into the tech
Yeah.
space. And Kelly, when I tell you, they say, give a job 90 days and before you really like make an opinion. I knew in less than 30 that it was a bad move.
Mm,
Not necessarily on paper, it made sense,
yeah.
right? My strategy and my plan, it made sense. But there were some things that I wouldn't have known until I laced up both shoes and started to walk a mile in it, like being in that new office. And I'm just like, yeah, this isn't a good fit. I just know too much. I've seen too much. I know better.
Yeah.
This is not a good look for me. And so I was just like, dang, now here I am again. Like it's only been less than 30 days. Like I'm already uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And so that forced me to do something different when it came to figuring out my strategy and my plan for finding work that I love. And I'm like, because if I just continue to take the first thing that comes up, there's a great chance at this stage in my career, where I'm a bit wiser, that I'll find myself still feeling unfulfilled, still feeling jaded, still,
Yeah.
having to want to call out every morning, can't get out the bed. And I'm like, I don't want that for myself. So let me just
Yeah.
take some time to figure out what I do want.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler Campbell, and I am the author of The Ball Came Out, Life on the Other Side of the Field, brought to you by none other than the Publishing Advantage Group, Kelly Cole, and the entire team. Let me tell y'all something about them. Listen, they are there to help you. They really want to see you win. They want to help you get that message out. And collectively, as a team, you never feel like you're alone. There's no such thing as a bad question. They know the industry so well that they help you convey the message that will feed the masses of individuals that you come across. My book is #2 new release book on Amazon already, and it's already an Amazon bestseller. I hadn't even been a full week yet. All right. These individuals know what they know about the industry and they share it with you, right? And they only want to see you win. You're handled with care. Make your book a bestseller today and go with the Publishing Advantage Group. They want nothing but the best for you.
And then go pursue that. And that's when Pandora's box opened up with the whole coaching thing.
Good stuff. So how did that box open up? How did you discover coaching and that's the thing that you wanted to do?
So if you remember a little while ago, I said like when I was getting ready to take the first leap, my plan in my mind and what I told people was that I was going to go back to school and get a degree in psychology, right? And just pursue that in this lifetime versus my next life.
Yeah.
And so when I felt like my back was up against the wall again, I decided that, you know what, maybe I can pursue this for real now. Like because I'm in the same space again.
Yeah.
But the issue this time was that time wasn't on my side. I didn't have 8 years to give to go get another advanced degree. Now, mind you, I had 2 degrees, bachelor's degree and a master's degree. I went to school both times for free. I got paid to go to school. So the
Mhm.
student loan life, paying to go to school, like that's never been my jam.
Yeah.
So then to consider it now at that point in my life, I'm like, yeah, that's not how I do school, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to pay for it out of pocket. Um, I didn't have several years to give in order to obtain a degree and get the license and all of that stuff to then go and pivot into something new. But while I was exploring that, that's when I uncovered coaching. I never knew anything about coaching before that. So it was kind of like the plan B that became the plan A, if you
Yeah.
will. And with coaching being an unregulated industry, somebody can absolutely wake up tomorrow and say, I want to be a coach. I'm a coach. Put
Yep.
coach on their name and go about their business. But for me, I knew that that is not how I wanted to make a pivot. If I was going to pivot into a totally new space, I wanted to do it with credibility. And so I knew I wanted to go get formally trained and certified. And I
Yeah.
was like, and then doing my research in that, I realized that, okay, within like a year's time, I can check that box, right? And position myself to be able to pivot with credibility. And that's exactly what I did. Like once I found coaching and realized like, hey, this place has a year tops and I'm out,
Yeah.
it was up from there.
Good stuff. So tell the people, because I don't know about you. When I started my business and I quit, it took a year before I even could pay bills. So I was, man, late on rent, all my stuff. How long did it take you to be successful as a coach, or you at least start making money?
Honestly, it didn't take me long to start making money. So I quit in May and I gave myself, this is right on the heels of right before, a couple days before, weeks before my 35th birthday. And I decided to, it's a milestone birthday. I'm in a different situation now because I just let go of my good six-figure government job. So now, I had substances savings, but now my spending habits, have to adjust because I'm not making the income yet that I'm used to making. So I'm like, well, what can I give myself? What can I do for my birthday? So I decided to give myself 3 months off, like just not
Mhm.
even trying to figure anything out, not building a business. The only thing I had going that I was committed to was continuing my coaching certification program,
Yeah.
which I had just started like a month before I quit. And so I gave myself that time off and that the summer off. And then on the back end of that, I was finishing my certification program, and that put me at the end of 2019. And so once I got the passing grade for my certification class, and I knew that I was legit.
Hmm.
It took a couple of days, and that's when I went in and established my business in the state of Virginia. And so I say that because that took up the rest of 2019 for me. Moving into 2020, I started to ramp up like my marketing and my posting, and there were some people that had kind of been following my journey.
Hmm.
So it took me, I think that February, I landed my first paid client.
That's
So it
awesome.
took me 2 months to start making money, you know, in my business. And it's like been up from there. I will say that though, as a coach with coaching is more of a household term now. I'm about 5.5 years into this thing.
Yeah.
But back then, there was not a soul in my sphere that was talking about coaching.
Yeah.
So it's been an uphill educational battle, just even bringing people into the fold to understand like what coaching is
Hmm.
and why it's valuable, how it can help you. So if I had to do it all over again, there's some things that I probably would do differently, but you just don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So hindsight is 2020.
What would you do differently?
For starters, I would spend more time um educating about what coaching is, not just talking about what I have to offer.
Yeah.
And because I had been so immersed in it, especially being in my certification program, in a class of 40 some odd coaches. Like everybody knows about coaching, right? Everybody knows the value of
Yeah.
coaching. And it's just like, no, when you step outside of those doors, people know about therapy.
Yeah.
Right? That's the buzzword. That's the household term. That's especially in our culture. That's what we're now talking about, whether it's jokingly or seriously. Like we're not ashamed to say, I got a therapist. I'm going to
Right.
therapy. Coaching, okay, what's that? We're talking about sports? Like, no, you know?
Yeah.
So I would absolutely spend more time educating um the masses on like coaching and its benefits and whatnot. So, but that was something that I don't think that I grasped soon enough because I'm like, well, why doesn't it feel like this thing is working? Right. And I think my earliest clients became clients because they knew me from my former life. So there
Mhm.
was already baked in like credibility with the fact that, wait, she used to walk these same halls with me, but now she's doing something different. How does she do that? I want some of that. Like, yeah, I want to work with you. So,
That's good. Yeah. Good stuff. Um, Hold on, somebody blowing me up. But yeah, yeah, that's definitely good. So those earlier clients, what was it like? Did you have to reprogram their mind? What was it like to get the results that you offered out of those first clients?
um, for me, it wasn't challenging because I'm gifted in coaching. Coaching isn't just something that I said, oh, I want to do this. Like I already had the gift. And I realized that when I was in the midst of my certification program and
Yeah.
some of the things that they teach you, at least the program that I was in, which I'm a bit biased, Georgetown's executive leadership coaching program, you
Okay.
know, and the way they train us to coach and serve our clients. And it's always in service of the client. But a lot of those traits and characteristics I already had organically, right? So
Yeah.
for me, the hard part of coaching was the marketing and the
Mm,
selling. Once you step into my world and we're in agreement that I'm your coach and you're the client,
yeah.
it's game over for whatever challenge you brought to the table. So it wasn't challenging at all. It was just a matter of eliminating the filter of people realizing or not realizing they're like, hey, I got something that could really change your life.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So what inspired you to write this book, The Six Figure Quitter?
Man, listen, first of all, this is a God assignment. And it was one of those things that was not going to give me peace until I got this book baby out. I knew, interestingly enough, so as I was preparing to make leap number two, which is what I call them in the book leap one and leap two. So as I'm preparing to make leap two, I'm on the van coming back from DC one day, and I don't even know what happened at work that day, but they must have got on my nerves bad, Kelly. Because I remember and I had a window seat. I remember being on the van, and I'm kind of like talking to myself, right? And And
Oh,
I'm
you
like,
was
you know
hot.
what?
You was hot.
My life is out of control. I think I need a life coach. Right? And so there was on my van, it's normally the same riders every day or throughout the week based on our schedules, right? So you kind of become either quickly like family or foes because you spend a lot of time in a confined space with
Yeah.
the same people, right? So there was one person on the van and he's a therapist. And so I happened to turn to him just, and this was all knee jerk, no thought, no premeditation. And I'm like, hey, do you know a life coach? And he's like, I actually do. Never in my life had I considered a life coach. Never in my life do I think I've heard anybody talking about life coaching. So I don't know where this came from,
Mhm.
but I was just so out of it that it was something that came up out of me, right? And so he
Yeah.
connects me with the life coach. I have a chemistry call with her, and we decided that we're going to work together. And she actually happened to be local to me in Richmond, right? And so in working with her, I realized that one, I know what I want to do next. I want to coach, but what I need your help with is I need accountability because when I get back to Richmond in the evenings around 7 something p.m. and I finally pull up back home, I don't have a whole lot of time to myself before I gotta go to bed because I gotta get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make this 5 o'clock van. And it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So I said, what I need your support with is accountability. Because if I do not figure this out now, I'll be in this same spot, even more miserable a year from now, and that cannot happen, right?
Yeah.
So in my time working with her, and she did exactly what I needed her to do, and that was divine in and of itself. Um, One day I came home from work and I just had this download that like I'm supposed to write a book.
I think for a new author, work with any publishing company that you have to ask questions. I think that you are readily available. And being available for me was paramount because I had tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of questions. And if you are a brand new author, I think you are the person to work with where you are accessible and where you're answering people's questions. The end result and the cover of my book was the deal that made me so happy because I was fussing about my cover. I needed my cover to look a certain way, and when you guys gave me the cover back that looked better than what I originally wanted, I said, okay, they've got my vote. So yeah, make it happen, Captain. For anyone else who's coming your way, certainly, yes, sir.
Mhm.
And I was sitting in my garage and I texted her or called her, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm supposed to write a book. And she's like, I can see that for you, right? Now, mind you, this is 2018. Now, I had no idea what the book is supposed to be about, right? But I just felt like I'm supposed to write a book.
Yeah.
So the seed was planted way back then. Then a couple years later, as I'm like eyeballs deep into this business development space and I'm in different programs, just trying to figure this thing out like the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
And one of somebody that I was partnered with in a business development program, she is a book coach, she's an editor, all of the things. And so because we were so close and I would see firsthand what she had going on, she had an offering for a writer's retreat.
Mm.
Now, mind you, the book thing has been on my shoulders for a couple of years. Like, I know I'm supposed to write a book. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And
Yeah.
her sell was write your book in 3 days. And I'm like, that's all it takes to get this book out? Like, sign me up, right? So I could just check the box and get this thing over with. And
Yeah.
so when I initially started the process with her leading up into the 3 day weekend, my book was supposed to be about leadership.
Mm.
But something happened in between the time prior to the workshop or the retreat and me getting to the retreat. And it was just like, that doesn't feel, it's like
Mhm.
something feels misaligned.
Yep.
And then that's when the six-figure quitter became, it was birthed somewhere in that. And I was just like, no, this is what I'm supposed to write
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Speaking of, you called it a book baby. Your rollout, where did that come from? I loved it. I was hooked from the beginning. I was like, I don't know what she's selling. I don't know what she got, but I'm buying it. So yeah, talk about that. Your rollout. Did that come from you?
Thank
Was that your
you.
idea?
That too was divine. And let me tell you something. I'll tell you exactly how it happened. So I'm in this group chat. I'm in a couple of group chats. And so the larger group chat, so there's a big group chat, and then there's one that there's like a subset of us in a separate group chat. So one morning, it must have been like a Saturday morning, in the big group chat, somebody drops a comment in there, a message, and they're like, "Hey D, you okay? I had a dream about you last night that you were pregnant."
Mm,
And so then in the sidebar chat, people are in there reposting, they got jokes, they laughing, all of the things. And I don't know what was going on with me, but I'll be honest with you, it pissed me off.
mm,
Right? And I think it was because they said they posted in a big chat and they were like, just making sure you okay. And for me, I'm like, well, if you really cared if I was okay, you would send that to me directly and not in the big group chat.
right.
And I think culturally, dreams and dreams about pregnancy,
Yeah.
I know I believe sometimes they have meaning, right?
Right.
And everything ain't for everybody. But there's some cultural differences, so I get it. And this person has never meant me ill will. So I was like, okay, I'm the problem. I'm just taking this a little bit too serious. But it bothered my soul, right? A few hours later, I'm getting myself together. This is a Saturday morning, mind you. And I'm sitting on the side of my bed. Mind you, I know this book has got to come out in 2024. It's got to. And my thing was like, well, how am I going to market it? Like, how am I going to do
Yeah.
this? So that's something that I had been trying to figure out way before this. And I'm sitting on the side of my bed and it hit me. And I was like, I'm having a book baby.
Love
They're
that.
right. I'm having a book baby. Right. So
Right.
God used them to ruffle my feathers, to give me this download. And
Mm,
it was one of those things that was so aligned, Kelly. Like if y'all enjoyed watching the rollout,
yep.
I had just as much fun like making it my own.
Yep.
Because I mean, I know all the pieces of planning a baby shower, all of that stuff, and it's just like, oh, this can go here, this can go there, this is how I'll do this. And it was what I needed in order to like get over the hump to get this book out, but in a way that wasn't just fun, but also was captivating,
Yeah.
and allowed people to see the essence of me and how I think and how I'm wired. I've
Yeah.
never in my life seen anybody do a rollout for a book in that way. And
Nope.
that's how I like to show up in the world.
Yep. That
So
was
that's
dope.
what
I
I
never seen it. So, I do books. So I was captivated. I was like, this is genius. Like whoever thought of this, like it was dope. The
Thank
registry, the baby registry, all of the whole thing, like how you wrote it out. It was really good.
thank you.
All right, we're getting close to wrapping it up. All right,
Okay.
so let's talk to the person who's in this job that they hate. They know it's time to move. What are three things you would tell them to get them to move in?
It's actually the first three steps in my process or my blueprint that I call the 7 P's to quitting your 9 to 5 without regret. And the first P is to pause. And that might give some people pause. It's just like, listen, I've been thinking about this for weeks, years, whatever your time frame is, and it's just like I'm ready to hit the ground running. And I recommend that you do not do that. I
Mm,
recommend that you do something intentionally that brings you joy. Take some
mhm.
time, whether it's taking leave, whether it's planning a trip, whether it's planning a staycation, whether it's going to take that class that you've been wanting to take, whether it's going to spend time with your grandkids, if that's what brings you joy.
Yeah, you muted yourself somehow. I don't know how.
Uh-oh, that's
Okay, go
weird.
ahead.
Um, when I talked about earlier, when I first came back from the Virgin Islands, that is when, I had clarity and
Yeah.
I started to see my job in a different way. And so when I retrace the steps of like, well, how was I able to do it like not once, but twice? There's always this period of me detaching
Yeah.
and doing something that brings me joy where I don't think about work. It's kind of like one of those things where you snap out of reality. And then when you're finished having fun, it's just like, dag, I gotta go back to this place. Like I'm talking about that kind of fun, that kind of joy, that kind of distraction. So the first thing will be to pause. The second thing that I would recommend is so that you aren't in the same position that I was in when I took that job, and 30 days in, I knew that it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
My recommendation to try to mitigate that is to really do some purpose work. Figure out what your purpose is. Like, why are you here? And a lot of times, what I know to be true based on my own experience is that when we start getting uncomfortable in these spaces that we're in, it's because our purpose assignment where we currently are has been fulfilled and we're needed in another capacity, in another space or another place. So it's time for us to transition. But what happens and why there's resistance is because we get comfortable.
Yep.
And we get complacent with the monotony, right? And so we don't want to move because we got this whole thing figured out. Like we know if I do this, this is going to happen. And we are here for a reason, whether we want to believe it or not. Like our lives have a purpose. And the moment we set out to understand why we're here, why we were created in the first place, and we align with it, the game is forever changed. And so that will be like after you pause, then with a clear mind, pursue purpose or revisit purpose if you've already started thinking about it. And then the next thing I would recommend is to put together, have a plan. I do not recommend taking a leap haphazardly without having a plan in place. Now, I say that understanding that sometimes these jobs will take you there, and for your mental sake, you're like, I cannot do this. In those instances, I recommend a part of your plan being to take leave. If you got sick leave, if your mind is not right, it means your body, a part of your body is not right. You are sick. Take your sick leave, right? Use your leave to buy you some time so that you can get some clarity about what it is that you want to do next so that you're in control and not living to regret what's next.
That's good. All right. So tell the people where they can get the book, where they can contact you if they want you to coach them, and any final remarks.
Yes. So you can get the book at thesixfigurequitter.com. I am on Instagram at Danielle the Coach. I'm on Fanbase at Danielle the Coach. What was the last thing you told me?
And any final words that you want to give?
Oh, yes. It's something that I share in the book and something that I say all the time. And Kelly, you've heard this before. So you get to choose. Like you get to choose what's next for you, right? You get to choose unfulfillment. You get to choose purpose. You get to choose joy. You get to choose peace. You get to choose complacency. Like at some point in time, you have to own the fact that wherever you are choosing to stay where you are, whether you're taking action or you're taking no action, that's still a choice. So no matter what, like you get to choose. And so my recommendation is for you to choose courage always, to choose purpose and to choose you. And what I want to offer your viewers, Kelly, is if you go to thesixfigurequitter.com and you use code Kelly10, you get 10% off the book. This is for your viewers only.
Dope. Thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. All right. Thank you so much for doing this. We can talk for days, but yeah, they got to get the book. It's powerful. I love the very first sentence in the book. They got to go read it to figure out what that is.
Got them.
Left them with a hook. But appreciate you, Coach Danielle. I
Thank
pray you
you.
have an amazing day.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Take care.